Samuel Clarke was an English philosopher and theologian known for his arguments in favor of the existence of God and his defense of Newtonian physics. Clarke's theory of causation is deeply rooted in his metaphysical and theological commitments, and he advocates for a rationalist perspective that emphasizes the necessity and intelligibility of causal relationships, particularly in the context of demonstrating the existence and attributes of God. Firstly, we'll talk about the principle of sufficient reason. One of the cornerstones of Clarke's philosophy is the principle of sufficient reason, which posits that everything must have a reason or cause. This principle is fundamental to his arguments for the existence of God and the intelligibility of the universe. Clarke asserts that there can be no true existence without a sufficient reason why it exists rather than not. For Clarke, this principle applies universally, encompassing both contingent beings, those whose existence depends on external causes, and necessary beings, those whose existence is self-explanatory and independent. Clarke applies this principle of sufficient reason to contingent beings, arguing that their existence cannot be explained by themselves alone. Since contingent beings are not self-sufficient, their existence must be derived from an external cause. This reasoning leads Clarke to reject the possibility of an infinite regress of contingent causes, as each cause in the chain would itself require an explanation. Therefore, there must be a first cause that is not contingent but necessary. Clarke employs the principle of sufficient reason to argue for the existence of God as the necessary first cause. He maintains that the existence of the universe cannot be explained by an infinite regress of contingent causes. There must be a first cause that is itself uncaused and necessary. Clarke identifies this first cause as God. This necessary being, God, is the ultimate source of all causation and the foundation for the existence and order of the universe. Clarke further argues that the necessary being, which serves as the ultimate cause, must possess certain attributes such as immutability, independence, and omnipotence. These attributes are derived from the nature of the necessary being as self-existent and the source of all causation. Clarke states that being, which is the cause and origin of all things, must necessarily have existed from all eternity and must of necessity be infinite and without limits, as well as eternal. And being self-existent, it must be necessarily existent. The principle of sufficient reason thus not only establishes the existence of a first cause, but also helps delineate the characteristics of this necessary being. Clarke's understanding of causation is deeply intertwined with his theological views. He believes that causation involves not just a temporal sequence of events, but also a logical and necessary connection between cause and effect. This connection is grounded in the rational and purposeful will of God, who sustains and governs the universe according to immutable laws. For Clarke, causation is not merely a matter of one event following another, but involves an intelligible and necessary connection, reflective of the divine order and rationality imposed by God.